Today we're here to check out the Pimax Crystal, the headset that claims to be able to do it all from standalone to PCVR, and of course it even has a bunch of cool features like being able to switch out the lenses, and it's a hot swappable battery. Is that a problem? Well, we're going to talk about all of these things in this video as we try and discover whether this is a headset that's going to try and compete with things like Quest, or if it's just in its own element altogether. So to go over a few specs of the Pimax Crystal, you have an automatic IPD adjustment because it has eye tracking built into it, QLED displays which give you better contrast between light and dark scenes, a resolution of 2880 by 2880 per eye, up to 160Hz refresh rate, but realistically most of us are going to be running at about 120, FOV of 110 horizontal and 120 diagonal. It has inside-out tracking similar to like the Quest and all of those sorts of normal standalone headsets. The ability to be a PC headset or a standalone headset, although I have a lot more to say on that in a little bit. And of course, inside the box we get the headset itself, two facial gaskets, the batteries, the dock, all the leads that you're going to need, the controllers, and power lead. Now I want to dive straight into, off the back of that, what the controllers are like. I think that's the first and foremost thing. They're going to be on our hands the whole time, and it's kind of an important thing. Honestly, these controllers feel pretty much as good as like a Rift S controller. I mean, they're pretty much identical in most ways of what those controllers are, so I don't have a lot to complain about there. Triggers are okay, joysticks are okay, buttons are okay. Everything is just about okay. Nothing to complain about, but also nothing to really rave about. Now when it comes to the hot swappable battery, I do want to bring that up kind of straight away. It's a bit of a pain in the bum, I'm going to be honest with you. You get about 2-ish hours out of each one of those batteries, but you can't just hot swap them. You have to turn the headset off, take the battery out, put the battery back in, turn the headset back on, and continue on with your session, which I feel like is a massive oversight from them. If they put a small internal battery, even if it just gave you like 5 minutes of life with the headset so that you could swap out the battery and not stop your session, it would have been very good. Honestly, the biggest pain for this is with the PCVR side of it. You'll kind of have to have that battery attached. Even though it's hardwired to your PC, it still requires the battery to be attached, and it doesn't trickle feed the battery from what I can tell, or if it did, it was incredibly slow because it just ran out in the same amount of time as it did using it in standalone mode, which is a bit unfortunate, but at the end of the day, it's kind of the caveat for this headset, and it is what it is. And when it comes into tracking was quite good actually. It worked very similarly in the way to like a Quest does. It works in the same way with 4 cameras tracking your positioning of controllers, so unless you're going to hide them behind your back, you're in a pretty good position, and honestly, thumbs up all round for that. When it comes to comfort, and I think this is probably the biggest negative that I have to say about this headset, is it is big. It's a very, very big headset. When you compare it to something like a Quest, it's blinking-enormous, but at the same time, there are payoffs for it being the size that it is with the wider FOV, and honestly, the way that the lens stacks work in this is pretty impressive. I will say that they have very custom lenses that go into the Pimax systems, and they were very impressive, and we've got to talk about the good stuff in a little bit, because honestly, when it gets to the good stuff with this headset, it's incredible. But unfortunately, it kind of feels the same way about the negative things, like the weight of this thing. When you've got it on, you do feel the weight of this. It is very evenly balanced, and I'll give them that in the sense that like the front and the back very evenly balanced. The strap is actually pretty decent. I'm not a massive fan of the facial interfaces that come with this, as they kind of like really into my face, and it feels like the weight kind of sits on my cheeks a little bit. But honestly, to be expected with a big headset. I used to get a similar thing with the Index, in all fairness, so it's not, it's nothing new to VR as a problem. I guess I'm just kind of spoiled by things like the Quest Pro and the Quest 3 at this point, where they're so light, you just barely even know they're on your face. When it comes to audio, genuinely, I was actually pretty impressed with the audio. It was flawless in the sense that the off-ear headphones are great, they work incredibly well, and they give you just a good experience, and it's built into the actual audio strap. Like, I wish that more headset companies would take note of that, like the Index and like Pimax do with their headsets. It's just a great solution, and it works flawlessly. Now let's get into PCVR with this headset. Now, of course, it does come with a caveat of a junction box and a bajillion wires. Well, that is kind of the payoff of working with a high-end PCVR headset, and that's exactly what this is, as well as being standalone. I would in fact say it's really a PCVR headset first that has the ability to do some standalone stuff for the moment. I think that pretty much draws us into the conclusion for this headset. I've kind of told you about my pros, cons as we've gone through this, and of course we walk away at the end of this with a conclusion. What is my conclusion? Well, really, again, it comes down to the fact that if you're an enthusiast and you have £1,600 to spend on a headset, this is going to be money well spent. It is and it does deliver on that high-end experience for a PC VR. And like I say, I feel like with the weight of this thing and the way that it is, I wouldn't want to do a high intensity game in this, but what I would want to do is a sim racing or sim flying experience in this, where you're sat nice and stationary, maybe in your chair, doing something like No Man's Sky, or like, you know, your Elite Dangerouses and all those types of games. I'm not a massive sim person, but I know that there are a lot of fans out there of it. That's the kind of person that I think they should be aiming their market towards, and if you are in that category of people, this would be incredibly well, you know, money well spent. If you're going to be playing something very high octane and fast paced, I don't think this is going to be the headset for you. I kind of fear if you turn your head too quickly, you might get whiplash. But seriously, this is incredible for that enthusiast level of virtual reality, and you cannot deny the fact that the name Crystal really does apply here, because it is a crystal clear display. As it goes for standalone right now, yeah, you don't buy this for standalone right now. It's not established in that way, but I guess in the future it will be. So this is only my opinion for now. Once I get a chance to actually properly see the standalone stuff, then I'll dive into that and we can experience it together, and I will have a lot more to show on this. You might be wondering why I've not shown you any gameplay in this video. Well, truly, I can't show you how good it looks without doing a through the lens. My cameras didn't do it justice when I tried to do a through a lens, because just a mobile phone, it just kind of doesn't show you how good this thing looks. So you're just going to have to take me on my word. Apologies that I can't show you something dope for that, because I kind of feel weird not being able to, but because I can't record what I'm seeing through there, it doesn't feel like it'd do it justice if I just record my screen and show gameplay. I mean, we've all seen Half-Life Alyx, we've all seen Skyrim, so just bear that in mind. I hope you've enjoyed this review, and I hope it's sort of like giving you a bit of peace of mind whether you're considering buying this, or if you were on the fence before, maybe it's teetered you across into like understanding that this is definitely there for that enthusiast market, and you're going to get your money's worth if you're buying it for PCVR.